Hey there, welcome to TNTech. We're doing a live stream for our weekend update here. So let's just hop right in. If you paid attention to any of the small update videos throughout the week, you know that I am not on my typical hardware setup. We had a little bit of a blowout with the liquid cooler on the 2080. We're down on a 1060 right now, but if you've been paying attention to the news, you know we're going to get that fixed soon. We're going to be upgrading to either a 3080 or 6900 XT. We are doing what I always tell people to do and waiting for benches. We'll win the war of attrition. This thing will squeak by for the time being. But speaking of things that are on the horizon, speaking of AMD, AMD's Zen 3 is coming. Now, mostly speculation, but what I really want to focus on is the 5950X. The 5950X is apparently going to be 16 cores with a 4.9 gigahertz boost. This could be big. This could be really, really big because it puts the ball in Intel's court. Rocket Lake has to be exceptional. We know that Rocket Lake is coming, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but for now, it's very, very exciting to see AMD kind of doubling down on the priorities that gamers have, which is high single core clock speeds. With a 4.9 gigahertz 16 core chip, it's easy to think that you'll be set for a long time. It's hard to imagine needing an upgrade from that, at least until the DDR5 era, which admittedly is around the bend, but I think a lot of people, especially with X470, decent 500 series hardware, are going to be very pleasantly surprised by what these chips have to offer, because you're going to have a very direct upgrade path with not a lot of fuss. Speaking of Rocket Lake, pivoting to Intel, it seems that Rocket Lake is almost assuredly going to be on the 14 nanometer architecture. Once again, they have failed to shrink their die adequately. Now, is that all doom and gloom? No, because they are promising a 5.5 gigahertz clock speed. So, say what you will, that is probably going to be very competitive. That's a lot higher than anything we saw out of the 9900K or the 10900K. And it's sure to be quite appealing to especially the really high frame rate 1080p gamer. If you're a 280 hertz, 360 hertz G-Sync freak, that with a 3090 is going to set you up for some really, really high-end competitive first-person shooter play. CSGO pros are going to love that. Anyone who's playing anything that's really twitchy. But for your 4K cinematic 60 hertz gamer, you're not going to be that worried about it. The AMD option is likely still going to be the way to go for you. Now, let's say you don't care at all about PC hardware. What you came here for tonight is to hear about the PS5. Well, the biggest piece of PS5 news I have to offer you is, and you may well have already seen it, it was extremely odd that Sony decided to partner with Burger King to reveal the power on sound for the PS5. This has been something that people have been upset about, whipped up about. It's always a big deal. What sound are you going to hear over and over again in your family room for years? And I will admit that Sony fans, for the most part, do seem to care a little bit more about the overall aesthetic, both audio and visual, of their experience. And what that means is that this was a very highly anticipated reveal. We haven't seen much of the user experience yet. We haven't seen the menus. We haven't seen the splash screens, but we at least know what it's going to sound like. For a lot of people, that is a big priority. We're coming close to basically all the news I have to bring you this week. Other kind of more niche news, a 450 watt BIOS has been released by EVGA for their FTW cards. So if you have an exceptional power supply and really want to see what that thing can do, this ought to shake things up a little bit on our sweet Time Spy and Port Royal charts. Excited to see what that has in store, assuming it can stay stable. We haven't really weathered the storm there on whether or not this is a driver or hardware issue on some of these, we'll call them challenges that folks are having with overclocking their cards. But I'm pretty confident in EVGA's ability to put out things that will work and work with you and support you if it doesn't. They've long been one of the more upstanding partners. Still, at this point, unless you're a console gamer, don't be spending any money right now. Wait until October 28th. See the benchmarks for yourself. As much as I would love to believe 81 frames per second, 4K, Ultra, everything, that sounds phenomenal. And if they really put that card out at the prices that people are kicking around, great. But we need to wait and see. If you're a PS5 gamer, if you're an Xbox Series X gamer, we largely know what those have in store. Fans aside, you can be confident in your experience. If you've loved your PS4, you're probably going to love your PS5 sound and all. And Xbox gamers, there's very compelling arguments for you there. We are seeing more and more robust backwards compatibility support from Microsoft, and Game Pass continues to be one of the best deals in gaming. So really follow your heart. You can't go wrong. And keep your eye on our Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for incremental updates throughout the week. That's all for me tonight, and I will see you again next week.